Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise in support of this first reading of the Passports Amendment number 2 bill. It is a great pleasure to be able to stand here and to be giving the public, sir, what they have requested. A bill that will return New Zealand passport to a validity period of 10 years, one that supports New Zealanders' desire and history of being adventurous and global explorers. And in doing so, it is important to note that we will not be compromising the security or indeed the international reputation of our passport. It will contain the latest technology to protect passport holders from identity fraud. It will ensure that our passport holders can access as many countries tomorrow without a visa as they can today, sir, a number that is around 170. But it is important to reflect that New Zealand, the reputation of New Zealand's passport is extraordinarily high. We are, in fact, the 8th most desirable passport in the world in terms of the number of countries that you can access without an entry visa. A study done by a global advisory firm, Art and Capital. It may not surprise anyone in New Zealand to know that as the number 8th in the world, we are ahead of Australia. And in fact, with the performance post-GFC of this National-led government, it won't surprise any Australians that we're ahead of them now too. But we do indeed have a very strong reputation for the quality and security and robustness of processes around our identity documents. But with that reputation, sir, also is something of a magnet for criminals, fraudsters, people who realise that if they can get hold of a New Zealand passport, if they can counterfeit one, if they can repurpose one, then they have an advantage of perhaps being able to access themselves or other people to access borders of other countries that much easier. And I just have a quote here, sir, from a Massey Centre for Defence and Security Studies lecturer, Rhys Ball. He noted that the Kiwi passport helps reduce an individual's profile. It is looked upon as a non-threatening travel document originating in a country with a robust processing system. But it is worth noting, sir, that although we are very strong and robust in our processes, we are not immune from fraudulent activity. In the period from 2010 to 2014, over 11,000 passports were stolen, New Zealand passports, over 42,000 were lost. And in fact, even in one case, in 2009, Roderick Robinson used Rex Smith's passport to flee to Portugal in that year. So we must remain, sir, ever vigilant. And in fact, when we look at that, that is the reason that we moved to the state that we're currently in with a 5-year validity period. And I just wanted to recap that a little, because I think the history of where we've come from is important in understanding why we can now make a change without compromising security. So it was in the early 2000s, in 2002, when the Department of Internal Affairs advised the Minister of a rising number of attacks on New Zealand passports and a shift from crimes of opportunity to crimes of intent with sophisticated forgery and counterfeiting. But there was also the new US legislation for homeland security that demanded machine-readable passports with biometric identifiers, and a non-compliance with that would have seen us lose our waiver-free status, visa waiver status, which would have required Kiwis travelling to the States to visit the US consulate in Auckland in person and to pay visa fees. On top of that, in 2003, there was a review on border security, particularly around counter-terrorism threats and measures. And so a bill was introduced and given to the Government Administration Select Committee in 2004, and in their deliberation, or their hearing of submissions and deliberation, they reported back that they recommended that the passport validity be reduced to 5 years. And they noted that the longer a passport has been in circulation, the greater the chance that its security features will become outdated and easily altered or successfully duplicated. Their view was that security and international reputation outweighed the inconvenience of a shorter validity period. It's with great pleasure that our officials will tell us now, and that we in this Parliament are now debating and saying that it is possible, that we can now take a position where we can react to changes in the world, where we have a very, very robust and secure passport, that we can, in fact, look to return to a much longer validity period, a 10-year period, without compromising the security of our people's identities or risking our international reputation. It's going to be a very, very good debate to be had in Select Committee, sir. I look forward to that, and I commend this bill to the House.
Denise.